On the morning of September 16, 1992, the British government believed they controlled the most powerful currency in Europe. By 7:30 that evening, they had lost, not millions, not hundreds of millions. They had burned through £3.3 billion of taxpayer money. They raised interest rates twice in a single day, from 10% to 15%, something that had never happened in British history, and still, they lost. Because on the other side of that trade, one man was sitting in New York, watching the British Empire's financial power collapse in real time, and he had bet $10 billion that this exact moment would happen. His name was George Soros, and this is the story of how one hedge fund manager took on the Bank of England and won. To understand why this happened, we go back to 1990. Britain had just joined the European Exchange Rate Mechanism, the ERM. It was designed to stabilize European currencies by fixing their exchange rates against the German mark. Think of it like an anchor. The German economy was the strongest in Europe. Tie your currency to the mark, and you get stability. But there was a fatal problem. Britain's economy was weak. Inflation was crushing. Manufacturing was dying. Unemployment was rising. Yet the government was pretending everything was fine. They had fixed the pound at an artificially high rate, roughly 2.95 German marks to the pound, and they promised the world they would defend that rate at all costs. It was a lie, and one man in New York saw right through it. George Soros was not a typical investor. He was a philosopher who happened to manage money. He had developed a theory called reflexivity. Markets don't just reflect reality, they shape it. If enough people believe something is true, their actions make it true. Throughout 1992, the pressure was building. Italy had already been forced to devalue the lira. Other European currencies were wobbling. But Britain insisted they were different. Prime Minister John Major had staked his entire credibility on the ERM. His chancellor, Norman Lamont, told the press that devaluation was impossible. Behind closed doors, the numbers told a different story. The Bank of England was burning through its reserves trying to buy pounds that no one wanted. Soros watched this through his quantum fund. He had already built a $1.5 billion position betting against the pound. But on one Tuesday in September, everything changed. Helmut Schlesinger, president of the German Bundesbank, gave an interview, an offhand comment. He said a realignment of European currencies might be more effective. Translation: the Germans thought the pound was overvalued too. That night, Soros made a phone call that would change financial history forever. Stanley Druckenmiller, Soros's right-hand man, had suggested they add to their position. Soros's response was chilling. Go for the jugular. At 8 a.m. London time, the markets opened, and Soros was ready. He instructed his team to go all in. The quantum fund increased its short position from $1.5 billion to $10 billion. He wasn't alone. As word spread through trading floors in New York, London, and Tokyo, other hedge funds piled on. Tens of billions of pounds were being sold. The Bank of England tried to fight back. At 8:40 a.m., they bought £1 billion. The price didn't move. At 11 a.m., they announced an emergency rate hike from 10% to 12%. The idea was simple: make holding pounds so attractive that speculators would stop selling. It didn't work. The selling continued. So they announced a second hike to 15% in the middle of a recession. And still the pound fell. At 4 p.m., the Bank of England quietly informed other European central banks that Britain was preparing to withdraw. At 7:30 p.m., Norman Lamont stood in front of the cameras and admitted defeat. Britain was out, the pound would float, and the government had just lost an estimated £3.3 billion in a single day. The next morning, the pound had fallen 15% against the German mark. Against the US dollar, it had collapsed by 25%. For British tourists and businesses, it was a disaster. But for George Soros, his quantum fund had made over $1 billion in profit. Some estimates suggest $2 billion when accounting for leveraged positions. In less than 24 hours, he had earned a nickname that would follow him forever: the man who broke the Bank of England. Black Wednesday didn't just make Soros rich, it destroyed a government. John Major had built his entire premiership on the ERM. When it collapsed, his credibility collapsed with it. Margaret Thatcher, who had opposed joining the ERM, was proven right. She had warned that no government could defend an artificial exchange rate against global markets. And perhaps most ironically, Britain's economy actually recovered faster after leaving the ERM. The devaluation made exports cheaper, manufacturing rebounded. So what is the real lesson? Some say it's about the danger of arrogance. Others say it's about the power of information. But I think the real lesson is simpler. When a system is built on a lie, it doesn't matter how powerful the people defending it are. Eventually the truth wins, and the people who bet on that truth, early and aggressively, are the ones who profit. Soros didn't break the Bank of England because he was lucky. He broke it because he was right, and he was willing to bet $10 billion on being right. The question is, if you saw a lie that big, would you have the courage to bet against it? Let me know what you think in the comments. Was Soros a genius who saw the truth, or a predator who exploited weakness? And if you want more stories of the trades that changed history, subscribe, because the next one might be even bigger.